All right, for all the deep tech investors tuning in, what we're looking at here isn't just some new piece of tech. No, this is a fundamental rewrite of how we make, well, anything. This is an investment thesis for the programmable factory, a future where static assembly lines are ancient history and programmable matter is the new reality. So let's dive right in and break this whole thing down.
You know, for the last 100 years, manufacturing has been all about these cathedrals of permanence, these massive static assembly lines, literally bolted to the floor, built to do one thing over and over. But in today's world of insane asymmetric disruption, that permanence is a massive liability. So we're shifting to a totally new way of thinking. The factory floor of tomorrow is more like a reconfigurable compute cluster, a dynamic, living system that can change its shape and its purpose on a dime.
Okay, so here's the roadmap for this thesis. First, we'll cover why the old way is just plain broken. Then we'll get into the new paradigm, the kinetic mesh. We'll look at the tech behind it, the economic moat it creates, why it matters geopolitically, and finally, the big question: where does the value and the investment opportunity really lie?
All right, Section 1. Let's really hammer home the problem. Why is the old playbook so static and brittle? Well, the bottom line is that the traditional factory is a liability in an age of constant disruption. It's a system built for a world that, frankly, just doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, just think about this for a second. In traditional manufacturing, if you want to change a single product, you're looking at millions of dollars and months of downtime for retooling. That was fine, I guess, when the world was predictable. But today, in an era of software-defined hardware and whiplash-inducing market shifts, that kind of rigidity isn't just slow. It's a massive anchor holding back your entire business.
So that leads us right to the new paradigm, the kinetic mesh. This is a factory architecture with no fixed morphology. I want you to just forget the idea of a fixed layout. This is a factory that has no permanent shape. It literally reconfigures itself physically based on what it needs to do right now.
So what's the fundamental unit of this thing? Well, it's not the conveyor belt. The core building block is the autonomous production cell. Just imagine clusters of autonomous mobile robots that do more than just move parts around. They actually move themselves to create entirely new workflows on the fly, whenever a new demand signal comes in.
Okay, so two core capabilities make this whole dance possible. The first is what we call morphological agility. This just means the robots can physically move and dock into brand new sequences based on what the market needs. Let's say demand shifts from making photonics to making drones. The cells literally rearrange themselves for the new job. The second piece is kinematic negotiation. This is where it gets really cool. All the robots use multi-agent reinforcement learning, or MARL, to coordinate their moves in a digital twin before they do anything in the real world. They basically practice and figure out the perfect plan to avoid collisions and be as efficient as possible.
Now, let's get into the deep tech. What's the fundamental breakthrough that makes this possible? It's something we're calling software-defined physics. This is how foundation models for physicality enable a zero-shot factory. We're not talking about robots programmed with specific coordinates anymore. We're talking about AI that understands the concept of an action, like grasping or turning or fastening. It's a whole new level of abstraction.
The whole process basically turns a factory into a computer that works with physical objects. You start with a digital CAD file of a new product. That's your input. Then, AI agents translate that blueprint into the basic movements the robots need to make. After that, the robots all negotiate the best assembly sequence in that digital twin we talked about. And finally, they execute. They build the thing. The result is that retooling, which used to take months, now takes minutes. It's insane.
Okay, so let's shift gears to the investment side of things. What's the moat? Where's the real competitive advantage? It's about this idea of fluidity as capital. You're essentially turning CapEx, which has always been a sunk, rigid cost, into a liquid asset. That's a complete game changer.
See, the value here isn't really in the machine itself. It's in the latency of adaptation. You're not just buying a better robot, you're buying the ability to change what you're doing faster than anyone else. The company that can adapt its physical production the quickest is the company that wins, period. That speed, that fluidity, that's the new moat.
And what this means is insane capital efficiency. Think about it. A multi-purpose robotic asset like this could have a useful life of 10 years or more. Its value is totally independent of any single product cycle. It doesn't matter what it's making today, because tomorrow it can be making something completely different.
I mean, when you put them side by side, the difference is just stark. With a traditional factory, your CapEx is tied to one specific product. In a kinetic mesh factory, It's a liquid, product-agnostic asset. Retooling time goes from months or even years down to minutes or hours. And resilience? The old way is brittle. A single point of failure can shut you down. The new way adapts. If a supplier can't deliver a certain part, the mesh can autonomously figure out a new way to build the product with a different part. It's a fundamentally more resilient system.
Now let's zoom out a bit, because the geopolitical angle here is huge. The Kinetic mesh enables a totally new strategy for sovereign and dual-use manufacturing. We're talking about a technology that has serious implications for national security.
For decades, the conversation has been about offshoring and then reshoring. Both are clumsy, expensive, slow strategies. The new strategy this enables is something different: algorithmic shoring. This is about placing these small, super agile, autonomous production cells exactly where the signal is strongest. Whether that signal is market demand, a supply chain opportunity, or a pressing national security need.
And this leads to what you could call a sovereign frontier strategy. Imagine being able to deploy these modular factories to iterate on really high-consequence hardware. We're talking about critical defense technology with the speed of a SaaS startup. You get to develop and produce vital physical systems securely, on your own soil, and at a speed that was just impossible before.
So this all brings us to the big bet, the final and most important question for any investor looking at this space. Where does the value actually accrue? In this brand new ecosystem, where do you place your chips?
Here it is. The core of the thesis is this. The winners of the next decade won't be the companies with the biggest factories. They'll be the ones with the lowest time to morphology. That's the key metric, the time it takes to completely reconfigure your physical production. When your factory is as programmable as a piece of code, the line between software and hardware just completely disappears. And that leaves us with the fundamental investment question we all need to answer. As we move into this era of the liquid factory, where does the real long-term value end up? Does it accrue to the hardware OEMs making the robots? Or does it go to the agentic layer, the AI, the brain, that orchestrates this whole complex dance? That, right there, is the multi-billion-dollar bet.